welcome back to The Watch. And just when we thought Disney couldn't get any more terrible, it turns out they're just an awful client to have with their workers. VFX artists basically have just accused Marvel of blacklisting them.
Among other things, they have a lot of grievances to do with Marvel, mainly due to the amount of workload that's forced upon them, which was something we all suspected. So it's just nice to hear it from them.
Yeah. Overworked and underpaid. I mean, who would do such a thing to their employees? I can't imagine something like that, especially from Disney.
Essentially, I guess the context for this is that there was this poll done on just what's happening in for VFX artists and studios, like how much they get paid, what their grievances are, and it's about a whole wider conversation about should they unionize, because they're the only ones that don't have a union. Which is interesting.
This is very similar to games, quite honestly.
Yeah, well, in many ways they are. So, I guess we'll just go through this article and see what they're saying about Marvel, because they take aim at a lot of the higher ups and their decision making. And well, let's just see why, shall we?
Okay, sure. So this article reads: as Marvel's content output grew in Phase 4, some VFX artists were reportedly unhappy. Former VFX artist Dhruv Govil previously explained why the studio is horrible to work for, noting that he had frequently seen colleagues struggle with being overworked while Marvel tightens the purse strings.
Ooh. So that means they are definitely going like, okay,
do all this work,
do it all,
and we're going to pay you
like,
rubles.
Yeah. Tighten strings makes me just think of like, okay, for one, Marvel is obviously a contract for them. That's how they get paid and get money.
Yep.
But secondly, it also makes me think that they are just like, it's just like Vader. It's like, pray I don't change the agreement any further. Like, it's like, hey, we made a contract here, and now we're changing it.
Pray I do not alter the deal further.
Yeah, there's a lot more.
But like, you know, as a VFX artist, I'm sure you would love to have worked on Marvel Studios in your portfolio. That's
there was another.
Depends if it says worked at Marvel Studios, She-Hulk, then maybe not. You have that taken off. You know?
Well, there was somewhere else, because this is like a big story that's been reported by numerous outlets. Most of this comes from stuff the Vulture did, and they mentioned how there was like this VFX artist who was interviewed and said most of them get like passionate over smaller projects, like de-aging all of the people in The Irishman. I'm not sure if you've seen that.
Like de-aging Luke in Mandalorian Season 2, that type of de-aging.
That's deep fake. De-aging Harrison Ford in the new Indiana Jones 5.
Well, here's the thing that they're talking about. They're like, they do these passion projects, and they would prefer if that got them the recognition. But no, they're always like, oh, it's de-aging Samuel L. Jackson and Captain Marvel that gets us the jobs.
Yeah.
And that's it already. Yeah. It's like, oh, my name's attached to Captain Marvel, and that's what gets me everything else. That sucks.
That does suck. Anyways, I'll continue with this paragraph. Marvel's announcement of its Phase 5 and 6 slate also didn't help the issues, as an anonymous VFX artist revealed that the whole industry seems a bit depressed about it because of the insane amount of work it'll be.
Whoa, so the whip is just going to get cracked on them again.
Like,
then they're still in the shit, pretty much.
I think of like Weta and back in Lord of the Rings era, like they were so excited to work on that project.
And they did a lot of insane stuff still.
Yeah, and they still, like, that's what I'm saying, like, that when they probably got word of, like, we're making a Hobbit trilogy, they're probably like, oh, damn, now we can use it, like, remember how fun Lord of the Rings was? Let's do that again. Now, unfortunately, it wasn't as fun.
What do you mean it was fun? I like the props in the Hobbit.
No, for them,
it was not
it was really
production time.
It was the production behind the Hobbit is
okay.
Yeah,
that's fine. I was just saying the props are good.
Like, it's just, I feel so sorry for them.
Yeah, the whole industry is just going for a really rough spat, especially because all of them will probably have to work there.
Yeah.
They'll all have to work for Marvel.
At some
There's
point.
Who else are they going to work for? Amazon?
Well, there's other jobs out there. I just think that Marvel
but Marvel will give them the access to all the other projects.
Yeah.
That's the issue.
I'm trying to think of like all the big ones that you can work VFX for, and they're all terrible.
Yeah, we just got to read the articles to give us context.
The other sad thing with that comment, right, is that Disney owns basically everything anyways. So even if you don't work for Marvel, you're still working under Disney, who will have those same executives.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. So you have to go to a different company.
Yeah.
And those other companies, Amazon, Netflix, they're just as bad. So it's like...
Yeah. Although some reason they're all really taking specific shot at Marvel. So that
that's
Marvel must
like
be
every
worst.
Marvel is like a CGI fight with a CGI bad guy in a CGI location.
Yeah.
Like it's all CGI.
Yeah, there's a lot of...
My goodness, as they say, as per a report of Vulture, Marvel Studios' staggering output in 2022, 4 series and 2 standalone Disney Plus specials and 3 movies, reportedly allowed the studio to operate as the entertainment industry's biggest bully, according to anonymous VFX workers. Damn, they're getting shade thrown at them.
Lots of the VFX people are just... They're not happy. And to be fair, you can see why, especially when someone like Taika Waititi comes out. It's like, oh yeah, that VFX looks terrible, by the way.
Yeah, don't be constructive about it. Just be like, oh yeah, you suck as an artist.
Yeah, and
look how funny I am, bro. Oh, I'm a Kiwi. Yeah, I'm a big rock, bro. Oh, it doesn't matter, bro. CG sucks. It's okay. I was going to say more spicy things, but I'll save that for your interpretation. And then it goes on to say a Georgia-based VFX worker then opened up about accusing Marvel of having an alleged blacklist, noting that it's a common thing that comes up.
Yeah, now this is an interesting one because this is why the story blew up.
Yeah.
Because if they have a blacklist, you can kind of see why quality is not really up there.
Yeah, and they say that the worker also revealed the biggest way to get blacklisted is to leave a show early for any reason.
Right.
So what if I have a child and I need like parental leave? Nah, blacklisted. If I get sick, if I get cancer, nah, blacklisted.
You're sounding a bit like a socialist there, Nathan.
I'm just saying, like, sometimes you can't finish the job. What if, like, you go into contract with Disney and it's like She-Hulk. Okay, all you need to do is just get her face onto this bodybuilder, okay? Basically like de-aging, which you've done before, Mr. VFX man. And then halfway through, they're like, actually reconstruct the whole body, make everything CGI, and do all the backgrounds. Is like, you're changing the deal. Okay, this isn't a part of our agreement. I'm leaving the show early. All right, now you're blacklisted. Also, I feel like the way that Marvel is working with this, if they blacklist like everyone, there's no one left to work for them. Like, in my head, that's what is happening.
Well, yeah, there's a guy that discredits this and says that no, that's not true. Even though it's something that is... This quote up here goes, the blacklist is something that's talked about often. I don't know anyone that's seen it for real, but it's a common thing that comes up whenever effects people talk
That seems like a dumb thing. It's like, I haven't actually seen a blacklist before. It's like, you don't have to see the list. Like,
yeah, it's like, if you do X, Y, or Z, Marvel will blacklist you and you won't be working for them again. And then, yeah, it's just to leave the show early for any reason. But... And then there was this next guy who's like, nah, it's a blacklist visual effects artist. It's a myth. It's not real.
I just imagine Disney on Fiverr hiring VFX artists from now on.
Oh, who knows, mate?
Well, I mean, they kind of already do that. The only reason why I know a lot of, for example, like Melbourne has a big VFX industry is because a lot of it is actually grant funded.
Yeah.
And so Marvel will pay like, the peanuts basically, and then the state government makes up the rest of the money because, hey, look how much our industry is booming, which doesn't make sense because
our film industry is non-existent.
Yeah, and VFX, I mean,
it used to be.
Used to be.
Once.
Yeah.
When?
Oh, Revenge of the Sith VFX was all done here. And it was filmed here.
That is like... I'm just thinking, like,
what?
The Hobbit's the only thing about New Zealand. You know what I mean? Like,
we had episode 3.
It's like,
yeah, we did have episode 3.
But that's it. I mean, like, we don't actually have a proper, thriving,
not anymore.
self-sufficient industry.
I mean, back in the day, long time ago, we had something.
Now
we have nothing.
Yeah. There's another part of the article that says, still, 2 other VFX workers with experience working on MCU projects revealed that the blacklist exists due to Marvel Studios president, physical and post-production visual effects and animation production, Victoria Alonso. Victoria Alonso.
All right,
that's a familiar name to
me.
me.
It should be. This is the one that said that term X-Men is outdated and said that pronounced Namor as Namor.
Namor
as the boy without love and all of that. And
didn't she also say that like every single character needs to have like a female counterpart. Like there needs to be like I remember.
Oh yeah,
quote.
she's definitely on board for that whole.
Like MCU stuff.
Yep. Oh, she is like the. She's the main head behind that, I'm sure.
Oh man, this next quote though is like
Oh yeah, this is why Victoria Alonso has been introduced.
the
Wait for it.
main one that everyone's quite scared of is Victoria. She's known in the industry as the kingmaker. If she likes you, you're going to get work and move up in the industry. If you've pissed her off in any way, you're going to get frozen out.
So she does have a lot of
That's
power.
gendered language. I don't think that's appropriate.
You know what?
The
You're
person
probably
maker.
right.
The person maker.
The person. Oh my god, that's got so many levels to it as well.
The person maker. You will be unpersoned in the VFX industry if you displease this woman.
Yeah, senior animator at Marvel Studios Animation, who Alonso also heads, shared that the mini studio suffers under its impossible deadline structure. We're in-house, we're paid well, we do feel like we're padded by money, but it doesn't change the fact that you're asking for things that can't be done.
And this is apparently a thing that happens a lot.
I mean,
And it kind of explains why a lot of...
we're in house. We're paid well. I do feel like we're padded with money. Okay, shut up then. Like, you're getting paid well, man. Like,
okay.
come on.
Here's the thing though, right? Like, I think there does come to a point where you can't pay me enough to do a certain thing. Money does get you a lot further. It does help you do things, but
Look,
like it.
Tyron, I have a quote for you that shows how what they're saying is impossible.
So talking about the working conditions, basically the things
This is brought from like another article.
the things they ask of the artists that are basically impossible. This is from what Patch is his name,
Yeah, this is one of a VFX artist who was interviewed.
who
by the
recently
Vulture.
worked as an associate visual effects producer on the Jordan Peele horror comedy Nope. Says that he was surprised to discover that Alonso and Marvel Studios president Kevin Feige insisted on personally approving shots that require visual effects work. You wake up and the first review would be set for 7:30 on a Sunday because you're dealing with Kevin's schedule. You're dealing with vendors all over the world, London, Bangalore, is that
Bangalore.
Bangalore? Sorry, I
Yeah.
get my name's right. Australia, China, he says. Then everyone has to adjust based on the needs of whoever's reviewing the shot. The director, the showrunner, the producers, everybody's giving their opinion, and sometimes they're giving multiple notes at the same frames. Oh my gosh. Too many chefs in the kitchen is what I'm reading here.
Yeah, and it's all just like, no, you gotta do what I say. That's what it sounds like with Kevin Feige and Alonso.
Yeah.
They're just like, we gotta approve everything. Everything has to be fit around our schedule.
Yeah.
Our way.
You're like, what direction do I go with this? Marvel declined to comment on Feige's involvement. An insider close to the company, however, says Feige does not approve every VFX shot.
That's the thing. I'm gonna take the guess that Kevin Feige is a massive control freak and that he does. If this comes up.
Because even when the actress for Miss Marvel was watching it on her phone, he's like, "Don't watch that on your phone. Watch it on a big screen TV. You gotta watch it in the cinema."
Wait, is
And
that
I'm like,
real?
Yeah. She was watching it on her phone. She was watching one of the other TV shows, and Feige was like,
wow.
"Don't watch it on your phone. It's not meant for the phone. It's meant for like, big cinema." And I was like, "Okay, Feige, you do realize that your Disney Plus, you can't watch it in the cinema."
No. That's the thing
He
that's
has
getting
his
me.
own personal cinema, though.
Yeah,
so.
but guess what? Not everyone else does. Which he'd be like, "What? What do you mean?"
I feel like I'm just amazed at that whole. I understand like the idea of you need to get the shots for approval, but at the same time, do you really need like the head of the president of the studio,
To look frame by frame,
especially
shot by
when there's
shot.
that many projects
But here's the funny thing too, right?
that all are coming out at different times?
I don't. The way that I'm not believing it, or if he does do this, that
Yeah.
I'm shocked for his job. There's so many bad VFX shots in the Marvel TV shows and movies now.
He can just be an idiot.
Maybe those
Yeah,
just
exactly.
slip past.
And I reckon that's why some probably
Well,
some
here's the
shots
thing,
are
maybe-
awfully done.
But here's another thing. Maybe some of those shots were done well. He's like, I don't like them, change them. They
Yeah.
didn't have time. They couldn't get him to have
Yeah.
a look at the new shots.
Yeah.
And then they're forced to
Yeah.
go with what they have. Because there's another point here.
Worse yet, VFX workers say that Marvel's heads often choose to alter endings during the final stage of a post-production, something that they say can happen at other studio divisions, albeit with less frequency. It's kind of like putting the last coat of paint on a car, or you're putting on the last coat you're trying to decide what color you want. Yeah, that's a good analogy. This is a Canada-based VFX artist animator with extensive Marvel experience. They don't figure stuff out early enough, so they rewrite, they redo, and fumble in the dark for a long time while they're doing the VFX. This animator recalled a whole portion of an action sequence that hadn't been storyboarded before post-production. Oh, man.
Yeah.
It was just, this hero avoids many things for this amount of time. Oh my gosh. Everything was blank. Basically, the studio said that the VFX artists figures it out, make it look cool. They had no idea what they wanted to do. Since the movies work so well, people think, oh well, that's the way to do it. Oh my gosh, that's the hard part. There's a better way that's less stressful on the artists and less expensive for sure.
So, yeah, they're padded with like money to be able to do these things, but how can they do it when it's like so late? Just as things about to be released.
Yeah. And I think this is part of the whole, like, Ubisoft has this problem as well.
Yeah,
with their Assassin's
Ubisoft
Creed
does
games.
this all the...
Like, they're in a pipeline. You got to get them out annually. If you don't get it out in time, then everything else like backs up. And we've seen this with Phase 5. There've been delays on things like Blade and stuff we talked about off camera. This has then resulted them in basically losing money. And as a business standpoint, the line goes down a bit for a quarter, which isn't good.
I don't think you understand how big of a deal it is to make VFX artists figure it out. Like, that is not how things work. That is just not.
How can they?
Like, the VFX artists aren't just like clicking and dragging in some 3D asset and going, oh, there's that there, explosion PNG.
No, they have to make all this.
They are given shot by shot or like image by image a storyboard of how things work, and then they have to create digital models to fit those things. They have to blend it. It's a whole long process. You can't just
say figure it out.
Figure this out, please.
They're supposed to figure it out with no storyboard or any plan.
With them saying figure it out, you're giving one person like 5 different jobs.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. Like, figure it out. You have to, like...
Technically, they have to script it. They got to create the assets. They got a storyboard. They got to do all of this.
Animate, lighting, composition. Like, those are, like, 5 separate jobs.
And that's just not their job. Their job is one job. They should not be working multiple positions.
Oh, but they're like, I just make it look cool. Who cares? That's Marvel's attitude. And then they're forced to go onto these weird... scheduling deadlines to show their stuff, and then that could be rejected, and then it's like they're back to square one. It's like, well, give us a storyboard, let us figure it out, and then we could do something. But it's like,
also it sucks
happening.
because I know a lot of the best VFX is basically you get a lot of stuff, lots of information on the day of filming, or like like I think of the old Star Wars ones. Like, I know it looked weird, right, with Jar Jar having a weird head and stuff. Yeah. What they do before every shot is they'd get reflection and light ball. So VFX artists knew, okay, this is the reflection of the world. This is like, you need things you can't just figure stuff out because then it won't look good or won't look realistic. And as well, if this is for like one shot or sequence, it's going to be so hard to then fix that if someone else is doing a different shot. Like, your different artists have different flavors of doing things.
Yeah, they do. And it's hard for them with this. This is what they're forced into. There's no choice. You have to work for Marvel if you're in that industry. It's gonna happen.
Yeah.
And, well, sounds like a great experience, doesn't it?
Okay, so there's a lot of negativity on Marvel, but apparently, from past reports, they've indicated that Marvel Studios appears to have realized the issue and have now begun to make an effort to lighten the load.
But then you go like Phase 5 and 6. And that's a lot of projects that are just in the works.
It's a lot of loads.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not looking great.
And, the fact that they're like, we're lightening the load now, but then this whole information comes out of like, we're blacklisted, we're overworked.
Yeah.
Are you really making an effort?
Now you got 10 movies to work on and 3 TV shows.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you got to fit this really weird structure. You probably have to figure out endings for yourself and all of that. And, well, you don't have much time either, because they want this stuff pumped out really quick.
They want those loads pumped out.
Ooh. Well, there's also a comment here. We've turned down work on 2 of their movies last year and still we're on the next 2. If you're not honest and transparent about your abilities, they can probably blacklist you if you overestimate your own capacity and say, sure, wire the money and we'll get to work. Like, okay, he says that, and I'm also like, you probably shouldn't do that.
That's pretty basic. Like,
that's also just basic business. You should under promise, over deliver.
Well, that's the thing. If if you say up front, though, we can't do what you ask, which is where the beginning of that comment goes, and they're still put onto the movies, it's like, what are we supposed to do now?
Yeah. It's just funny, like, we turned down 2 for this year, but we've got 2 for the next year because we have to. It's not like...
Yeah. Because I guess, and this is just where all of the money goes. It comes into this.
So look, I think part of it is on VFX artists. They need to not overpromise and also push themselves, because at the end of the day...
Well, it's probably not the individual artists. It's probably like the heads up of these studios,
yeah.
where the studios are just like, that's a lot of money from Disney.
Yeah.
We can do that. Surely we can do that.
So I think they need to
like
be
this.
accountable as well for that. So it's kind of a two-way street here.
Yeah, but...
At the same time, you also need to have in protections for both sides, so that, you know, you're getting the product that you ordered, but also those people aren't killing themselves basically to get it.
Yeah. I mean, fact is, we can tell VFX artists have it really rough right now.
Yeah, and it also sucks when you not only have like the heads judging your work, but like every single person who watches the movie now. Like, we always watch Marvel movies and we're like, that shot sucked. Yeah. Even though every other shot was like decent. It's like that one that kind of fell through the cracks. That just like degraded the whole movie. And so it must be hard.
Yeah, and it's pretty it'd be demoralizing after a while, like working. I just imagine, like, some of these VFX artists for sure know that what they're working on is trash.
Yeah.
And it's probably demoralizing that that's the position they're stuck in, because it was probably their dream job. They wanted to do this for... A lot of it is like a dream project for many people. And this is their experience. It's not a great thing, unfortunately.
So, look,
and it seems to be very common, and Marvel is not really helping.
I think, like all things in nature, this will eventually come to like a crossroads where either Marvel ends up having no VFX artists because they're a terrible business. Like, they just basically fire everyone.
Could you imagine that?
Like, I don't think that's going to happen because, you know...
No, they got too much money.
They got too much money, and, you know...
I'm just
people
imagining
will change. You know, with this backlash, I'm sure Disney's going to try and do something to mitigate the bad PR. And at the same time, those people who are VFX artists probably need to find good work-life balance, and maybe these VFX studios who are overworking them, because it's obviously leads and heads who are like, you need to get this done. Maybe those younger associates will leave, make their own business, and have more of like a business culture of like, we're going to not overwork ourselves. We can work for these people, but we're going to be more realistic. So stuff like that can happen as well.
Yeah, because they're like they have to work on like the smallest of details as well as like the big stuff. It's just, the lack of planning is just insane. I mean, we suspected that Marvel Phase 4 was just, you know, essentially a cluster of just no planning at all. Now we've got it from like one side of that whole production. It's like, yeah, it was a mess.
Put together, yeah.
It was also, we had to figure stuff out ourselves. So it's interesting that this is all coming out just after Phase 4's over.
Yeah.
It's almost as if they're like, we need to make the world aware of this.
Yeah.
Please.
It's not going to get better.
Yeah, it's not. But,
Tyrant, you got any comments?
Yeah. But basically, the thing is, people have nowhere to go because there's only a couple of players in town. So where are they going to go? Even if they want to do a proper work-life balance, even if they want to try and be more realistic with these things, there's only a couple of players in town. So you got to play ball or else you just don't get work. I mean, where are you going to go? Like, you literally would have to go to other parts of the world for other cinemas to find VFX work, because lots of smaller projects don't have money to throw around, so you're not going to get paid. And that just leaves you the big ones. And the big ones are terrible. And they may throw a lot of money, but...
And Marvel seems to be one you just can't avoid.
Yeah. They're
No
just
matter
too
where you
big.
go.
They're too big to avoid.
Yeah, and there's just too many projects that they have in the works. So... Oh, well,
And
we empathize with any VFX artists out there, that's for sure.
realistically, from a VFX worker standpoint, if you go to something like Netflix, not every show is going to need VFX work. But you best bet that every Marvel show needs it. So you've got a lot more job security there. It's a whole thing, basically.
Yeah.
It's a whole thing. Yeah.
It is what it is.
So look, we hope that those who may have gone through these late nights and stuff, that you're able to find more balance and happiness in your life. And we hope that studio heads can actually get their act together, even just helping you make your life a bit easier by giving you a script,
a plan,
a storyboard,
maybe some shoots or references.
Maybe
for the
changing
day.
some stick figures on a piece of paper telling you what's happening. Like
maybe changing Kevin Feige's schedule to accommodate them better individually.
maybe.
That'd be a good one.
Maybe pick a weekday.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. So look, I think all that we've thought about has been said now.
Yep.
Let us know what your thoughts are as well. We're interested to see. Any of you VFX artists, are you just bags under your eyes right now watching this video, being like, I just need some free time, please? And then we start bringing this up and remind you of this horror.
Yeah.
We're sorry. But we hope that you join us for the next video. And as always, stay on watch.